Well, what were you expecting? We were never going to score. Come on. I just got back from Luton Town 1, AFC Wimbledon 0. And as games go, that was a game. That happened. I'm not going to overreact. I know a lot of people are probably, in the crowd. Everyone was. There were a few smatterings of boos, but it's the first game of the season, and it's against a team that were incredibly well drilled. Honestly, a lot of teams. I'm going to give Wimbledon a lot of credit here. Everyone has, including myself, in everyone's table predictions, everyone has Wimbledon to go down. This is a big if. If Wimbledon can play like that, I mean, like attacking wise, they offered next to nothing, but defensive wise, they defended like absolute champions. And I'll say that that goal by Johnson was really unfortunate, but also from a Luton perspective, very, very telling. Right, let's start at the beginning of the game. So pre-kickoff, Luton Town teased that there'll be a number 9. No, 9, and all their social media was just like a 9 being held up around the stadium. It's like, I think they want us to know that they've signed a number 9. So they tell everyone to get to their seats at 7:45. I didn't get to my seat because, well, a lot of people weren't in their seats because, hey, it's a Friday night game. People are traveling in, people are getting food, people are having drinks. But there were enough people there. Anyway, so they unveiled the new signing, Jerry Yates. And just a word on Jerry Yates before I talk about the game. I think Jerry Yates is a tremendous signing at this level. He is. Last time he was in League One, scored 21 goals. He's got pretty much double figures every single season he's been in the Championship. His season at Blackpool was excellent. No idea how much we have actually spent. I haven't tried to seek out the fee and read what Twitter experts have to say about it. No idea. I'd imagine it'd probably be, well, considering the amount of money that Swansea are looking to drop on Richard Kone, I would imagine it is high 6 figures, possibly 7. I'd say we probably spent $1 million on him. He's 28. He's a good age, relatively prolific at this level. And I think he is probably the missing piece that we need. As shown in this game, I know I'm jumping to the end. The goal showed the way Naki Wells, I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong because I've heard on the Sky Comms, I heard on 3CR, they're calling him Naki. I don't know how they're pronouncing it. I'm just going to call him Naki Wells. Naki Wells drifting off into the half space. He sends a ball in. Woodrow calls for it. And honestly, who knows? Sliding doors moment, but it was a hell of a header from the Wimbledon defender. And they were heading things away all game. Back to the beginning of the game. Keeley lined up in goal. Naismith, Anderson, Makosso, Longwick, left back. Rua Walters, right back. We had Saville and Walsh in the middle. They were sort of the holding two. And then it was a front 3. And this is where the problem lies. It was a front 3 of Clark, Ali, and Wells. Now, Wells did really well with his movement. And he got into dangerous positions. But the problem when you're playing one up top, they are so isolated. That is a fundamental problem with playing a, back 5, back 3 formation. Because you're so bottom heavy. It's like a Christmas tree. You're so bottom heavy, you struggle to get that support. And you can tell Longwick is not a natural left wing back. Like maybe Cohen Bramall, being added, that will be a solution to it. But I think this is partly why so many people have been calling for a change of formation. Look, it worked really well for Bloomfield or Wickham. Just try it. Try 4-3-3. So you have those two wide men up top. Like having Clark as one of those wide men, it didn't really work today. I don't think a midfield with Clark, Walsh, and Saville works ultimately, especially when Clark is pushed way up top, because Clark is so tricky. He's got great feet. He's got an eye for a pass. He gets involved with the play at the back. But then because he's getting so involved in the midfield, he's not there as an outlet. Or when he is there as an outlet, it just doesn't come off. And then you have the one man up top. He's getting dragged out all over the place, running the channels. And we saw that with the goal. I mentioned that earlier. Nahki Wells getting dragged out to the outside. That is the problem. That is why you need to play with two out-and-out strikers. And I will say that one to play with the striker up top, that is not Woodrow. But hey, we've signed Jerry Yates now. So I wouldn't mind a Yates and Wells front two. That is a championship level strike force. But the issue is the supply. Maybe today is not the best way to judge it because Wimbledon came for a point. And that is not a problem. They're playing a team that's just been relegated from the championship. And ultimately, they wanted a point. It's a very tough order to come to a team that was in the Premier League 2 seasons ago, in the championship last season. They've just been promoted. They've had a very difficult summer whereby they made 3 signings, and I think we saw one of them tonight. And they also lost one of their most influential attacking players over the summer in Josh Neufeld. I think they did very well. And their fans were excellent. And they quite rightly, they were singing, "Is this a library?" Because, yeah, the Luton Town fans, they made a lot of noise for about 10 minutes. And then when it became apparent that we weren't just going to steamroll them, it went very quiet. And everyone just sort of sitting back. We winning yet? Are we winning yet? No. But that is the problem, the expectation. This is the first game of the season. We need to give it a month, at least, for the team to gel. There's also still a month for the transfer window. There are still players to go out. There's still 1 or 2 more to come in. 1 definitely. There are players to return from injury. The issue I have with the back 3 is the fact that we're kind of stuck to it. We are wedded to it by virtue of how many centre-backs we have. I'm not the biggest fan of Anderson. I honestly don't know how he got man of the match from the match sponsors. No idea. The guy has a turning circle of some massive articulated lorry dragging another lorry, and he has the pace of an articulated lorry with a lorry on top with a very dense object that weighs a lot stacked on top of that. Honestly, the guy looks like he's running with a parachute. And I understand he was playing purely by the virtue of Mark McGuinness not being available because he's been ill, he's lost weight. So, yeah, I understand that. But the fact is, when you look at where we've spent large sums of money, and I think from this lineup, off the top of my head, 2 players, Anderson and Clark, were present in our Premier League season. That's too many. I would take Jordan Clark because I think Jordan Clark has a terrific attitude. But ultimately, there is panic. There is concern in this team. And the smell, just you can smell it from the stands. The players reek of it. They reek of fear. But hopefully, a win tonight, doesn't matter how they go in, a goal is a goal, a win is a win, and we are currently top of the league. That fear, the players have to get over it. They have to play with freedom. They started with freedom, but as soon as it became apparent that Wimbledon were, going to defend, going to frustrate, that fear sort of took over from the freedom, and we just didn't really get at it. It was just cross after cross after cross, and that's just meat and drink for these Wimbledon defenders. They were absolute units. They were just heading everything away until they didn't. And that was very unfortunate. But I have massive respect for Wimbledon. I said it in my League One show with Ryman, where we went through our 1 to 24. I think their story is incredible. And I hope they do well this season. I really do. Like, look, water under the bridge. I've forgotten about the playoff final. Pens. Look, it happens. It's a lottery. And you know what? We're both in the Football League now. So let bygones be bygones. All the best to Wimbledon for the season. But ultimately, I feel there is a lot more that has to come from us. I believe there is a lot more that will come to us. I believe there'll be a lot more that will come from us. There just has to be. Because that game, it was horrendous. It looked like an unstoppable force hitting an immovable object. Anyway, I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what your thoughts were about that game. It happened, and it's one that I'm going to forget in T-minus 5 seconds. As soon as I finish this. As always, everyone, have a good evening. Have a good weekend. Top of the league. Having a laugh. And most importantly, come on, you Hatters.